Hey,
Hello, hello. How are you doing?
oh, good, busy.
Busy, yeah, me too. All right, let's get started then. I think it's just gonna be me and you. There's gonna be actually quite a few other people joining. So to kind of give you a little bit of context, we had a internal, it's not really internal, it was company specifics, like a bunch of different companies that would meet on CD events. And we talk about CD events on a Monday, but we've decided to move it just into this meeting. So you should start seeing a lot more people join. Um, so that should definitely help get different discussions going too. So let me
Cool.
share my screen as well and get the sig notes ready. Bum, bum, bum. All right.
Yeah, I just have a few minutes before I need to run off to.
Oh, yeah, no worries, no worries. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Because then we can make this a little bit short. Let me actually just copy this because this is the same, except this is now America's. All right. Please sign in when you get a chance. I can put the link also in the chat to help with that. There we go. All right. Add this to my There we go. That should be easier now. Okay. So 0 0.5. I know I've been talking about this for a little bit. I pinged Andrea specifically about the version. So we're going to rename version to spec version for the context attribute. And I felt I've given them plenty of time to kind of get that done. And I told them I think by Friday, if you don't have it done, then I will just do it. I wanted to at least give him the opportunity to work on it. And he said he would have it done by Friday. So that is the last thing that's kind of blocking 0 0.5. So once that is in, and the worst case, if he isn't able to get that done by Friday, I'm just going to go ahead and do it on Friday and ship out a PR. So that way you can just do the release. Um, so yeah. So that's kind of the gist of
Just
what's happening with 0 0.5. And I
make
saw a
make
lot of
him feel the
what's
feel
that?
the pressure. Make him feel the pressure that we can announce 0.5 at
Right,
KubeCon
right,
next week.
exactly. Yeah, so and I've also been looking at this definitions PR. And I wanted to first kind of highlight because we had a lot of discussions about it at the Europe SIG meeting.
Yeah,
And I want to pull it up because I think having more, eyes and kind of our line of reasoning to make sure it's vetted by as many people as we can. So we so I, along with David, were really looking at this particular definition. So um, which is test, right? So test, um, is simply like an integration test, a unit test, for example, right? But as David was calling out, is this doesn't really highlight, like code scanning or linting, even though you can argue that those are maybe some form of a test, but they're really not, because I'll give you an example. Linting actually could be part of a build process as well. Like, you could do that part of your whole build stream. And it's like, so you can stick it in build because it kind of fits in that, especially for like interpreted languages before, shipping out, some sort of code, maybe that's part of their build, right? As opposed to a test. Maybe it just does like the formatting, for example, and they just like send that out as the artifact. So linting is really hard to like kind of categorize. So I thought about it, I wrote a long kind of like paragraph on, like linting itself is not really a test, but it could be used in a test. And I started thinking about it more. And I'm like, maybe this test is not right. And maybe this needs to be something a little bit more generic, like analysis. And test would be just a type of analysis. So we could have like subtypes like, test. scanning, like security scanning would fall under analysis. And then, linting would fall under analysis, right? So it has a very specific definition here. What is your thought? And the reason why I bring this up is because I don't want to introduce more complications or more complicated, wording, or want to keep things as simple as possible. But I feel like that making this analysis solves a lot of the gray areas that were brought up in the discussions. What is your take on that?
That's a good question. The other where my brain was going was thinking about just the word policy. Um, and that's like, and I kind of like the idea of putting it in build, where it's like lenting is a type of policy enforcement on your code, as well as there's so many other ways to approach policy, whether you're using like a something other than linting, whether it's like a OPA, Rego policy checker on other structures of your code, things like that. And it's like those kind of things would always affect how you build your code and how you're writing code. So and whether that should be all shifted into this broader analysis thing, that's certainly possible. I don't know if there's like a a separation, something I guess, yeah, I've always thought about with analyses. And I like that term as well, where it's like an analysis has to do something. So it has to like you know, execute something that drives traffic, that pokes at your code, that tests your code in some way,
Mhm.
to simply measure without doing anything. Um, that's maybe, yeah, more the building linting policy kind of thing. Um, I'm not sure if I really helped you there, but I've just kind of dumped some thoughts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think, and like I said, it's really hard because like, like people use linting, you know, their own ways as well. Like some people throw it in tests, some people have it in part of their build step. So it's like
Right.
that's why like I think having it like under an analysis might make it a little bit more clear. Because like anytime you're doing any sort of analyzation of the code base of an artifact or a resource, right? It would just fall under this analysis portion, which is very, very broad because that can encompass like scanning, it can encompass linting, formatting. Well, maybe not really formatting. Formatting is more of a build. But yeah, you kind of get what I'm getting at though, is
Yeah.
it covers a lot more that I think is kind of missing from these three definitions currently. Um, so and like I said, like we could kind of make test be synonymous with analysis. But I have a feeling my worry is with going with that approach is that it makes because test is such a widely used term in software. And so when people say test, right, they have a very strong opinion on what a test is, right? And so I don't want to say test and have it mean something broader when people already have this preconceived idea on what it is, because I think that will just drive more confusion. So I think for the sake of clarity, calling it analysis and having other things be a part of it may make more sense than trying to repurpose the definition. So that's kind of what I
Is there,
was
I
that.
was like, is there an umbrella term for unit test, function test, integration test, fitness test, and any other imaginable test? And
Actually, that's what I looked up, and it's called analysis. So that's
oh,
why I was like,
perfect.
yeah,
Perfect.
but yeah, because analysis encompasses like so many things. So we went through like this whole Wikipedia, deep dive like all these different definitions, and what we found was there's every time you click code analysis, test falls under there, linting falls under there. So I'm like, oh, maybe analysis is actually the word that we need, and so that's how that kind of happened.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm gonna write a Slack thread on this about this particular definition and GitHub, and then link the GitHub PR and see if anyone has a strong opinion about it. I'm gonna purposefully I'll ping you and David, but I'm also gonna ping some of the folks that are in the Monday meeting because we use these definitions a lot in those meetings. So that's why I'm like, okay, if we're going to replace one of these, I want to make sure that they're okay with it as well. Um, so yeah, but I think it makes a lot of sense. So just letting you know,
Cool.
expanding on test definition and what to do. Analysis seems to make more sense. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and leave that, and I will create Slack thread to hopefully encourage discussion. Otherwise, we will merge this next week is my goal, depending contingent on discussion. Yeah, I'll make it. Yeah. Uh, I always, I'm always worried if I use this, people are gonna be like, "Oh God, it's AI." No, but yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I've totally switched to semicolons now.
Yeah, yeah, right. You have to because
Yeah.
like, yeah, um, but yeah, okay, cool. So let's make that kind of the plan then. And then what else kind of happened? So yeah, another thing that we looked at, so David brought this up. So we looked at some of the plugins that exist for existing toolings for CD events. So like you've been working on the notifications one specifically for Argo, but we
Yeah.
also have Jenkins plugins. But we realized that, or David specifically brought up that the Jenkins plugins is supposed to be is only supports 0.3. So we want to do our best to, figure out how we can go about getting those up to date. Um, and so yeah, Dave's gonna do a little bit of thinking on that and seeing what the best course of action on how we can, ensure that those are up to date and, synced appropriately with our latest version or as whatever the stable version is. So that's kind of gonna be our goal there. So that's kind of like the other thing. And then I know this KubeCon should be happening soon, right, Luke?
Next week.
Next week, right? Okay.
Yep.
So I'm assuming you're not going to be present for the meeting then, right?
No, no.
Okay,
I'll
okay.
be
Just wanted to make sure. Okay. And then if there is a live recording or a live, stream of it, I will definitely hop in. Because unfortunately, I did get approval to go to the conference, but it would have to come out of my own pocket, which I was like,
that,
oh, okay,
that's not
maybe.
approval.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I was like, oh, okay. I really don't want to spend, a few $100, potentially thousands, because hotel and all that.
Right.
But if there's a live stream, I'll definitely catch it. That
Yeah,
way.
I don't think they do live streams anymore. But
Gotcha, gotcha.
it will be recorded and they should have it posted by the end of the day.
Okay, cool, cool. I will definitely look out for that, and I'll check. I'll ping someone to see if there is a live stream because at least if there's like some questions or whatnot, I can jump in or even ask questions of my own. That might be pretty
Yeah.
useful. So
Right. Right.
okay, cool, cool. So other than that, it's kind of the gist of things. Was there anything on your end that you wanted to talk about?
No.
How's the Argo stuff coming?
I mean, it's sort of interesting as far as there's a lot of possible like it's mostly like what would I put in the custom data? What makes the right um message, subject, and stuff where it's like it's not there's not a right or wrong way to do it. It's kind of what do we collectively want? And
Hmm.
so it's I've got a demo working with like CDEvents and stuff, so it's pretty cool. Um, but it's really like I think next week will be exciting where just so many more people now will be aware of this, and I just really want to. I'll spend next week just facilitating those conversations for sure, and hopefully, like obviously, hopefully we get more people coming to this meeting because of that. Then yeah, I think it'll just be interesting in the next few weeks, like what the reception is, what kind of responses, feedback people have. So there is a pull request on Argo project for this as well, saying here's how I'm mapping things. Please leave your comments, feedback. So I think just keeping it, we'll keep an eye on that and see what people want to do and go from there.
Cool. Sounds like things are making progress then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, feel free, to shout out the SIG meetings, that, any sort of marketing will definitely take.
Yeah.
So feel free to do that. And yeah, so with that said, I think that will be this will be a shorter meeting. I mean, it still is like 20 odd minutes, but yeah, but like I said, look out for that Slack thread because, like I said, I'm gonna still be thinking about the test and analysis, but I think analysis makes the most sense. But I just
Okay.
want to flush out all my thoughts, have them in one place because I know just like talking about, especially like just asking the question, like like and you going off the top of your head, you're gonna sit down once you look at it and really like mull it over, and maybe you'll have like a better solution or a different like approach to kind of figuring out how we deal with the semantics of these things. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll definitely ping you on the discussion then.
Cool.
All right,
Cool.
sounds good. All right, thanks again, Luke. I'll talk to you later then. All right.
Yep.
All right, and
Thanks.
good luck at good luck at the KubeCon.